I've got a great person here to introduce you to, and he is the systems professional. He's been 20 years in systems analysis. He also comes from the United States. Old friend of mine, and as I say, he's a human being extraordinaire. So, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Julie, for the great lead-in. I am a systems person, and again, my name is Tom Lamond. I'm from Washington, D.C., and we're happy to be here as the part of the Dunn team. Thank you, Mark. Thank you all for coming. As Julie was saying, without systems, you have chaos. There are human systems, systems that revolve around people and their actions, and they involve processes. Who uses processes in their business? Okay. Are they written out processes or are they spoken processes? Okay. So they're organized and they are designed to drive the behavior of the people who work for you. They build expectations. Okay. There are also business systems. Who uses a business system? A business system is an accounting system or a human resources management system or a time and attendance system. They're mechanized and they work with other systems. Your time and attendance system probably works with your accounting system so that when the employees put in their hours, the accountants know how much to pay the employees. So they work together. They support the human behavior. They drive productivity. Why do you have systems? Who can tell me why they have a system? Anybody? Standardization. Anybody else? Consistency. Control. Okay. Those all fit under the second item under there is that they give us a predictable outcome. Systems are outcome driven. They also make the work easier for your employees because they understand what the expectation is. Great systems outline expected tasks. They make sense to the user. They're not complicated. They're easy to use and they're easy to understand. Okay? Systems are everywhere. I'm going to tell you a story now. I traveled here on Sunday from Washington, D.C. It's my first time in Lebanon. I love it. I'm really excited to be here. And I've traveled a lot. How many people have traveled through an airport? Anybody? Okay. How many people have traveled through an airport or traveled through an airport 20 years ago or longer? Okay. I got in my car and I drove to the airport and I parked. And I went to the airport on the shuttle and I got my boarding pass. I dropped off my luggage. I went through security. I got in line to get on the airplane. I got on the plane and I flew to Paris. I got off the plane in Paris and I walked through the Paris airport. I found my gate. I waited for 4 hours. And then I got on an airplane and it flew me to Beirut. And when I got off the plane in Beirut, I went through a line. I showed them my passport. They checked my luggage. I walked out and Mark was there waiting for me. What I didn't realize at the time, and what I didn't think about at the time was it was easy to do that. And the reason it was easy was because there were so many systems lined up to make it easy. And I remember 20 years ago when I flew to Europe for the first time, and I went into the airport and there were all these people behind the counter. And they were, next, come over here. And you're checking your luggage and you're checking your tickets and they're tearing papers. And when I walked into Dulles Airport in Washington this time, there were a bunch of kiosks. And there was a person there. It looked like my grandfather. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and he went like that. And I saw the kiosk, and I walked over to the kiosk, and I put my number in, and it asked me some questions, and then it printed my luggage ticket. And this grandfather person walked over. He said, "Let me help you do that." And he put it on there. And I walked my suitcase over, and the nice lady behind the counter put it on the scale, looked at it, and said, "Thank you." And I was done. And it's all because of systems. It's because the systems are established to turn that chaos of 20 years ago into a really easy and non-stressful situation. And that's what has to happen in the hospitality industry. Mark and the group and I went out for dinner the night we got here. Service in the United States is totally different than service in Lebanon. I will tell you, I was impressed. And I don't know if this was an exceptional restaurant or a normal restaurant I don't know. But I was impressed because there were people there who met us at the door and walked us to where we needed to be. And they took my plate when it was done, and they poured my wine when it was empty. And they were attentive, and they took care of things. We're a little bit more independent in the United States. We usually have one waiter at the table, and they walk over and they say, "What can I get you?" And you say, "Well, what's good?" And they're like, "Well, I like everything." And it's kind of a struggle of egos, and that's who we are. It's not bad service. It's just a different expectation. But here, I found it's an amazing experience, and I would go back to that restaurant because of the amazing experience. I would go back. I would fly here from Washington and compared to some of the restaurants I go to in the United States after having that experience. So it's important. It's important for the customer to feel like it's easy for them. They don't want to see that conflict and chaos. They want to see something that can only be created when you use a system. So the really important thing about systems is they need to be logical and they need to be bite-sized. If people are going to use a system, it has to make sense to them. So I just want you to, if you can see that, this is a really simple system, and it says, it has a start and a finish. The start is the customer walks in the door and enters into the coffee shop. Second step, that triggers the first step, which is the waiter asks customer for order. This is very simple. The waiter hands the order to the barista, the person who makes coffee. The barista makes this beverage according to the order, and the end point is the waiter serves the beverage to the customers. Well, that's not the only thing that happens in your restaurant, but that's one thing that happens in your restaurant. And that's a very linear, easy way for your employees to see this is what you do when a customer walks into the restaurant. I'm going to leave you with a thought. Systems are a way to make your employees successful. It's a way to make you successful. And if you make it easy enough for the employee to follow, it will work. You don't want to make it too complicated because nobody's going to be able to follow a complicated system. Okay? You have to make it manageable. You have to make it attainable. And when you do that, you will build success in your employees, you will build success in your business, and you will reach your dreams.